United Airlines is showing its wokeness by adopting gender and racial quotas. China tells America, don't you dare boycott our Olympics. Plus, the crisis at the border hits new records and the Biden team has no response. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with United Airlines because, like so many corporations, they are adopting this left-wing philosophy which says that talent and merit don't matter. They aren't important anymore. What they're pushing, what they're embracing is diversity. This week, they put out this tweet showing their new social justice agenda. Our flight deck should reflect the diverse group of people on board our planes every day. That's why we plan for 50% of the 5,000 pilots we train in the next decade to be women or people of color. Learn more and apply now. Our flight deck should reflect the diverse group of people on our flights. Why? That's my question. Why does it matter? Why does the race, gender, or ethnicity of the pilot matter? All we care about is a safe flight. Maybe a smooth landing. That's what we're looking at. But United, they see that most of their pilots are white males, and that is some kind of moral failing, a social injustice that they need to fight. They don't care about the fact that anybody could be a pilot. It doesn't matter, race, gender, ethnicity. If you're interested, you can go study, you can do it. But the fact is they see this and they see white men are attracted to being a pilot, and they say that is wrong. We need to do something about it. Now, CBS News did a story on United's new wokeness. Here's how it started.
In our series, Unifying America, we are recognizing people who are trying to right injustices and bring communities together. We like the thought of that. In the airline industry, less than 6% of all pilots and flight engineers in this country are women, and only about 10% of that number are Black Americans, Asian, Hispanic, or Latino.
First, it's so lame that CBS puts this as part of their Unifying America series. You know what's unifying? Is judging people on merit, on their talent, bringing people together, not dividing the country based on race or ethnicity. And then they talk about fighting injustice and list the stats for pilots and flight engineers, as if those stats are somehow racially motivated, as somehow there's an injustice there. It couldn't just be natural. It couldn't be that these folks that make up the current pilots and flight engineers are there because they wanted to be there and other people are oppressed. That's what they're saying. Because of this racial makeup, there has to be some kind of oppression going on. That is not a unifying message at all. So then the report interviews United's CEO talking about their new gender and racial quotas.
Only 7% of United Airlines pilots are women, one of the highest percentages in the industry. And 13% of its pilots are people of color.
They simply don't have the access or the opportunity.
So women and people of color don't make up a high percentage of their pilots, and because they don't have access or opportunity, which is just an outrageous statement. And what's even crazier is that earlier in that segment, they did a focus on a young Black woman who is training to be a pilot. She used to go watch planes take off as a little girl, and now she's training. So she has access and opportunity. They focused on her, and then they bring in the CEO who says women and people of color, for some reason, don't have access or opportunity, as if flight schools are only surrounded by white men and no one else can even enter the grounds. It's just outrageous. So then Tucker Carlson this week, he was blasting this United wokeness, and he brought up a clip that he did a couple of years earlier with the person who is now the head of the Civil Rights Division at the DOJ, talking about this competence and wokeness. And here you go.
Do you think that airlines should apply the same diversity rules you're calling for here? that they shouldn't take the people who score the highest on the pilot tests, but that they should hire also on appearance, the way people look.
Every workplace, whether you're talking
so
about
pilots do heart
airlines
surgeons
or
too?
federal agencies, should hire the best, but should place a premium on diversity. And
but which is more important, the way that you look or what you do, what you're capable of doing? So, like when you're flying a plane, how important is it what you look like, your appearance?
Incredibly important, and it's also important that we have. It's also important that we place a premium on diversity.
This is unbelievable. Carlson went on to rip the airline and the entire woke culture, and he used an example that I use all the time, and that is the NBA. United and these other corporations are talking about how their boardroom, their employees need to reflect the racial makeup of America. Yet with the NBA and with other sports, they don't care because the left only cares about what suits their narrative, what advances their agenda. No one is screaming that the NBA needs to look like America and have a racial and ethnic diversity that reflects America. No one says that at all. But United, somehow they are oppressing others because their pilots are mostly white. Give me a break. All right, so next, let's talk about what's going on in China. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 150,000 subscribers, and we can do it with your help. All right, let's talk about China, folks, because it is definitely a different relationship with China and Joe Biden than there was with China and former President Trump. He struck fear into them, made them come to the table on trade and other negotiations. With Joe Biden, they don't even care. They want to push him around. They want to muscle him around. The latest is the discussion about the Olympics. Beijing is hosting the 2022 Winter Games, and they are sending a message to Joe Biden, don't you dare boycott our games. And here's the story. China's government warned Washington not to boycott next year's Winter Olympics in Beijing after the Biden administration said it was talking with allies about a joint approach to complaints of human rights abuses. A foreign ministry spokesperson rejected accusations of abuses against ethnic minorities in the Xinjiang region. He warned of an unspecified, robust Chinese response to a potential Olympics boycott. A robust Chinese response. That's a good one. So how is the Biden administration reacting? Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, she was asked about it. Here's her response.
Our position on the 2022 Olympics has not changed. We have not discussed and are not discussing any joint boycott with allies and partners. We, of course, consult closely with allies and partners at all levels to define our common concerns and establish a shared approach, but there's no discussion underway of a change in our plans regarding the Beijing Olympics from the United States point of view.
What a bunch of nonsense. It's amazing that since Joe Biden came into office, we apparently can't think for ourselves. We need to only talk with our allies and come up with common concerns. As if there's not American concerns, as if there's not American values. China is committing genocide, forced abortions, the repression of basic human rights. We can speak out about that. We don't need our allies to do it. And Jen Psaki, she can't even answer the question. Here's more. The politicization of sports will damage the spirit of the Olympic Charter and the interests of athletes from all countries, said the spokesperson, Zhao Lijian. The international community, including the U.S. Olympic Committee, will not accept it. So here's my take on all this, whether you support a boycott or not, because I know the athletes have trained a long time. It only happens every 4 years. The thing is, China should not be hosting these in the first place, folks. If you're talking about the Olympic Charter and reflecting higher values, the Olympics is not just individuals competing against each other. It's supposed to be nations coming together with a sense of goodwill, higher values, higher purposes. So you should not have a country that engages in genocide and forced abortions hosting the Olympics. Let them aspire to be something greater. Have Olympic hosts actually live up to basic human rights. That's what should be going on. We should never have a country like China hosting the Olympics ever again. So next, let's talk about what's going on at the border. Because if you think Joe Biden can't handle Olympics in China, he certainly is doing an even worse job at the border. The numbers of illegal border crossings, illegal encounters keep going up. Joe Biden, he hasn't even been down there. Weeks ago, he appointed Kamala Harris as some kind of border crisis czar. She hasn't been down there. She hasn't said a word about it. And here's more. Nearly 19,000 unaccompanied children were nabbed jumping the border in March, Homeland Security revealed Thursday, doubling the number from February and shattering the previous record of about 11,500 set in May 2019. The children were only a fraction of the total of 172,000 illegal immigrant encounters recorded last month by Homeland Security, with about 168,000 of those nabbed by the Border Patrol. That's the highest monthly number in 20 years. Of those, about 103,000 people were expelled under coronavirus pandemic emergency orders, but the unaccompanied children and tens of thousands more parents and children traveling as families were not able to be expelled under current policies. The numbers undercut President Biden's assertion at a March 25th press conference that the vast majority of families are being sent back. Wow, it's crazy what's going on down there. And Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, she was asked about this issue as well, in addition to a new poll that's come out showing only 25% of the American people approve of the job Joe Biden is doing with the border crisis. She was asked about that poll, and here's her response.
If I read the poll correctly, it also had 59% of Americans believing that unaccompanied children should be treated safely and be protected in that way, and 65% supported the reunification of families. There's no question this is a difficult challenge, and the president believes he was elected to address hard problems.
This is just so typical. Jen Psaki was asked about Biden's performance handling the border crisis. She talks about the fact that people want to help the children. Okay, they want to help the children. They also think Biden is doing a terrible job at doing that. So there was a follow-up. One more question asking about the 25% approval rating. One more chance for Psaki to answer the question.
I think that right now our focus is not on looking at the poll. It is on implementing solutions, which is no question to address what we view as no question a difficult challenge, and hoping that we can ensure we are protecting these kids. We are continuing to reassert to the region the border is not open.
All right, friends, let me know in the comments if you have any idea what she was saying. All right. So we've got Jen Psaki, we've got Biden, we've got United Airlines, we got the crisis at the border. We have to ask these left-wingers, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
So the first thing for a relaxed brain, since Joe Biden or Nike or Coca-Cola or none of these big corporations, the NBA, will speak out against China, here's a quick update on what's going on over there. The wife of an imprisoned Uyghur taxi driver was herself arrested and sentenced to at least 3 years in prison for weeping while she told her story to a foreigner during a bus ride. Radio Free Asia reported Wednesday that Munira Mimtili's husband, Shirili, was arrested in 2018 and sentenced to 200 months in jail in May 2019 because he accepted a religious figure as a passenger and allegedly received illegal religious education from him. The Uyghurs are predominantly Muslim. Shirili Mimtili's mother is also reportedly in prison, serving a 10-year sentence for moving her household from one county to another, presumably without the necessary official permission. Yep, let a country like that host the Olympics. That makes a lot of sense. And as far as corporate America, the NBA and all these other companies that are siding with China, give me a break, folks. They are siding against the American people. Common sense with their wokeness and their social justice warrior mentality against the American people and on the side of a country like China. Think about that one. Also, as you know, I blast Jen Psaki all the time for her nonsensical answers, but she still has a ways to go before she can top the queen of nonsense, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And this week was another example. She was on a program and she was asked to talk about Israeli-Palestinian peace. What were her ideas? And she's being blasted on her nonsensical, just rambling answer. Watch her answer, listen to her answer, and watch the expression of the guy who asked the question. Watch how it changes over her response.
You know, earlier just now, you and I were talking about the what and the how.
Yes.
And I think that when we talk about establishing peace, centering people's humanities, protecting people's rights, it's not just about the what and the end goal, which often gets a lot of focus. But I actually think it's much more about the how and the way that we are coming together and how we interpret that what and how we act in the actions that we take to get to that what.
How we get to that what? What? And here's the thing, that was just a part of the response. It goes on, and his expression gets more and more just wondering, what is she talking about? We need the how, the what. It doesn't really matter. What she basically said is something that could apply to any discussion at all. You want to bring both sides together. You want to listen. You want to hear them out. So she said actually nothing that helps with the Palestinians and the Israelis. Nothing at all. All right. And how about some headlines from the Babylon Bee? Here is Joe Biden's latest executive order. Biden bans high-capacity assault stairs. I just love that one. And when you think about it, it's actually right on the money because more people die from falling than assault weapons. Just so you know, those are the stats. Falling needs to be dealt with because more people fall and die than from assault weapons. And next, a Minneapolis business owner figured out how to succeed in a city that voted to defund its police. Clever Minneapolis business owner disguised a store to look like it's already been looted. I just love it. And folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.